What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another exclusive interview here on Pro Wrestling Ponderings. I'm your host, as always, James Lascuola. Today's guest has made it a long way in the world of independent professional wrestling in quite a short time, might I add. It's wrestling's good witch, Kaia McKenna. Kaia, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good this afternoon, James. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing excellent. I've been real excited for this interview. Are we ready to dive straight in?
I am more than ready. Let's get it done.
Perfect. I mean, I got to start with just a little aside. I mean, one of my favorite things about this interview series is just the different sort of backgrounds we've been able to present, be it folks who are already established, be it different diverse backgrounds. This interview, again, I've been real excited for because, I mean, if you could let the audience know, how many matches have you had up to this point in total?
15.
15 matches in, and you've made some incredible strides in that short amount of time. I mean, just overall, how does it feel to have made it to some pretty major stages so far in that 15 match span?
I mean, honestly, when you're sitting and you're planning it all out and you're like, I want to go here. I want to wrestle here. I want to wrestle this person. I want to make sure I do this. I've got to check this box. It all seems very like pie in the sky because there was a moment for all of us where we were like in training, wondering if we were even going to make it through training, right? So you're sitting there and you're like, oh, this seems so lofty. But then as you start checking these boxes and going these places, it's just such a good feeling to have any kind of upward momentum. And even if that momentum is just inching, even just inching along versus taking huge strides, it feels so good to be so far from where you were a whole entire year ago.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, as a fan, I've enjoyed seeing this upward trajectory. And I gotta mention, too, of course, you're coming from the Black and Brave Academy. I mean, what are some of the important things that you've learned through Black and Brave?
Oh my goodness. Okay, for starters, just never quit. Just have it in you to just fight another day and just keep pushing no matter what. Like, no matter how hard things get, when things seem impossible, like, just you have to keep pushing. You can't get yourself all worked up in your head and be your own worst enemy. You just got to keep pushing forward. And the other thing is just, just having such a good environment here to like not only learn the basics really, really well, but then freely come in and find yourself as a wrestler and all the other components that go into it other than the physical wrestling part, right? So that's the biggest benefit to me is just having such a good environment to like hone all sides of my wrestling career. My in-ring, my character, my promo, my appearance, like my entrance, literally down to the smallest details. It's just nice to have a spot that is so encouraging and supportive from all sides.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. And I mean, that growth definitely shows in your in-ring output. And I look forward to seeing how much further you'll be going. Because, I mean, really, the journey has only just begun in your case.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm pretty excited. One of my goals for my first year in wrestling was to make it into the PWI Women's 100. Hopefully I do. I don't really know. We'll see. But in order to get there, I set a bunch of goals up for myself to check boxes, like have a match at GCW, have a match at Beyond, have matches with a variety of opponents, have matches outside of my own state. I wanted to be in the Super 8 this year really badly. So that was something I really made a goal as well, all moving towards this larger overarching goal, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, man, it's been quite a ride for a year. July will mark a full year for me. July 31st will be my first year completed.
Well, I mean, what a first year, too. I mean, in 15 matches, you've gone pretty far, but also not to mention the fact that we've had quite a slowdown on wrestling from last July, even due to the pandemic. I mean, what were some of the challenges of kind of getting your wrestling career started through the pandemic?
Oh, well, the first one was just graduating wrestling school and then there not being any wrestling, period, for like 4 or 5 months. Like, it just was not a thing. Like, I graduated in March of 2020 and I was like, I'm so ready. Let's do this. I'm going to cast my spell on the world. And then everything stopped. It was like, well, okay, maybe we're not going to hit the ground totally running here. But just because you can't physically get in the ring and wrestle doesn't mean there's not other things you can be doing to improve your chances when things start picking up speed, right? So all throughout the pandemic, I tried to like really focus on things like working on my character, going to the gym, having nice gear, working on how I would enter the ring. Like anything that didn't involve physical wrestling that was still a major part of this business, I tried to put a ton of energy into during the pandemic. So that way, when opportunities did start to present themselves, I was ready to go. There was no hesitation. I had all of my ducks in a row. I just had to get in there and wrestle. So it's like you can't get discouraged by it. Like, it sucks. Nobody wanted to deal with the pandemic. It was awful, and it just made a lot of people depressed and sad. And like, I just tried to keep pushing and keep finding things that I could do. Just because I couldn't be in the ring physically wrestling didn't mean I couldn't be working and making progress.
And I'm happy to hear that, this slowdown didn't necessarily mean the work slowed down in a sense, and you really put stock into just how you were doing everything, and again, it really shines through in your recent output that I've seen lately. But touching on probably the first huge opportunity I had remember seeing was your match during GCW's Fight Forever at Alley Cat's Real Hot Girl Shit. How did it feel getting that big opportunity to appear on a stage like GCW?
Honestly, it was so cool because I had been doing ring crew for GCW for a minute prior to getting that opportunity. So I knew a lot of the fans from doing stuff like setting up chairs and running the door and helping with the ring. And you talk to people when you're there. And when I finally got that opportunity and I made my entrance, there was this moment where I got in the ring, I dropped and I could hear, and we didn't really have fans there, other wrestlers, people that I had been around while I was paying these dues, and then some of the real close family. But I could hear the overwhelming support, and it just felt so cool to just have that moment, the payoff, you put that hard work in, and to get that payoff is the best feeling in the world. Someone could hand you an opportunity and you should absolutely take it, and it's great, right? But you work for something and then you get to have that of all of that hard work paying off. I just could remember dragging the ring up onto the beat of July and all these stuff. But to get that, it just was the best feeling in the world. And the match was fun. It was great. But just that one moment is just so burned in my head of just being in the middle of that ring and just looking up into that balcony, seeing everybody, all my friends for me, and they're so proud of me. That was the best feeling in the world. I'm gonna get all sorry.
Hey, I mean, let it all fly. We don't judge here. We love to hear everything.
I think if nothing else, if people could take something from my short little 1-year journey here, it's that the work does pay off, even when it doesn't feel like it's going to. So just keep grinding. Do the hard work, because then when you get those rewards, it just feels so much better. It's an amazing feeling.
Well, speaking of feelings, one of the common stories coming out of Fight Forever was just how cold the GCW Performance Center was on that day and night. How would you describe how cold it was in the GCW Performance Center, and how did you manage to stay warm?
Layers, lots of I wore leggings under my sweatpants and long sleeves and a hoodie and a coat, the whole 9 yards. But generally, once you're there, I hate to say you get numb to how cold it is, but I had been there at that point for probably 15 hours. So I don't really think I was registering that it was that cold anymore. I was just adapted. But yeah, it was quite chilly. But I also think it's one of those things where everybody was just so amped to be there and have their matches and put this show on for the fans that nobody was thinking about how cold it was. Everybody was just so focused on putting on the best show possible. But it was a little bit chilly.
Well, from one big opportunity to another, you made your Beyond Wrestling debut during the Signature Series against Masha Slamovich. What was it like being in the ring with someone as world-traveled as Masha?
Man, she's a force to be reckoned with. Let me tell you, I was yeah, okay, Masha, I can do this. I got this, good energy, good witch vibes. I got this. Man, just keeping up with her, she's on a whole different level. She's an amazing performer, an amazing wrestler, and really her veteran experience, she just outmaneuvered me at the end of the day. But it was so good because it was so good for me to have that learning experience with her and to have that match. She's a force, dude. That's the best way I can think to describe her, as an absolute.
Oh, she is an absolute force. I mean, there's a reason why, she just competed against the likes of Kimberly as well as Diona Purrazzo, but she'll be appearing on a same show as you this coming Sunday for WWR Plus. Now, you have yet to have an opponent named, but is there any talent on the card that you're looking to face off against?
Oh my gosh. See, I honestly, all those women are just incredible performers in their own right. And one of the things that I think makes WWR Plus so special is that we're all like, it's not only women who are brawlers or only women who are high flyers or like only women that are technicians. It's like, it's not only good guys, it's not only bad guys. It's so many different walks of life and styles of wrestling that it would be an honor to mix it up with any of them. But I would love personally at some point to have a match with Trish Adora because she's an amazing technical wrestler and I got a little pure wrestling style magic of my own. And I think it would be a really good back and forth. I think that would be a fun spirit of the competition match, if that makes sense. And she's just an incredible performer as well.
I can 110% agree with you there. She's had some of my favorite matches through the year, and I think that would be a tremendous matchup to see. But backtracking just a little bit to your WWR Plus debut against Little Mean Kathleen, you may have fell short in the match, but you had, in my opinion, one of the best matches of the night. What are your thoughts on Kathleen and the match in general?
Yeah, she's got a whole lot of energy, like so much energy, and it's so great. But like my magic just could not contain it that night. She had more energy than my magic could contain, and if I ever get the opportunity, I would love to run it back with her because I've been doing a lot of training and practice and developing some new techniques to better harness all of that like intense, hyped up energy she brings to the ring and maybe get it under some control, you know, and make it work for my favor instead of my disadvantage. So I would love to at some point run it back with her.
Oh, I would definitely love to see that. And in late July, it was announced that you will be competing as one of 8 women in the ECWA Women's Super 8 tournament. What would it mean for you to come out as victor in this tournament with past winners having won it, such as Diona Perazzo and Karen Q?
I mean, honestly, I couldn't think of a better way to end the year than to take home that Super 8 trophy. I'm from the East Coast. I grew up watching the Super 8. My favorite Super 8 is 2007 with Jerry Lynn and Sanjay Dutt. I believe had the final match. It was incredible. I'm a huge Jerry Lynn fan. So to me, it's always kind of been a personal goal to like be in the Super 8 and win the Super 8 because I'm just a wrestling nerd. And I just love the legacy of the tournament and that it's been around for like 25 years and that so many incredible performers, both male and female, have set foot in the ring for that tournament. It's like such an honor to be a part of it, honestly. I think it's...
Now, you are in a pretty competitive field of contenders, but who do you see as the biggest threat in this tournament?
I'm going to go ahead and say Erica Lee. She just has so much momentum coming into this tournament. Like, she's been killing it in Camp Lee, but killing it at Pro Wrestling Magic. She just had a great match at Beyond. Like, she had a great match with Becca at the last WWR show. She's got so much momentum going into this tournament. I think she's the biggest threat, personally. And she's such a well-rounded wrestler. Like, you never know what you're going to get with her, right? So it's hard to prepare for someone who covers all the... It's like if you have a high flyer, it's like, okay, I can plan my attack to ground, keep them off the ropes and keep them down on the mat. But when you have somebody that's truly an all-arounder like her, it's so hard to like pair an attack, you know? It really makes you like, it's threatening. It's scary. It's scary when someone's that well-rounded, you know?
Oh, yeah, I mean, people may take her kind of goofy outward persona like not as seriously as they should, because in the ring she is as sound as they come.
That seatbelt suplex is incredible. Like, she's awesome.
Well, in this discussion, you did mention Camp Leapfrog, which you have been made appearances for through the past year. How have you enjoyed your time there at Camp Leapfrog?
You know, as much as I love a good old wrestling match, I really enjoy that Camp Leapfrog is kind of the best of both worlds in the sense that they have really good wrestling and strong performers, but also very like fun, whimsical storylines that people can get invested in when they're watching, or just like little tiny arcs that are nice. It kind of reminds me of when there were a lot more vignettes and little cut scenes and fun little things in wrestling for people to also get invested in. To go alongside the very good, the best part about being at Camp Leapfrog has been, in my opinion, just being able to have so much fun and really just tell stories. Despite there being a million amazing performers out there these days, I still feel like we don't always do the best job telling stories as performers. And to me, that's one of the biggest appeals of pro wrestling. You can tell stories, and I want to tell everybody my Good Witch story, you know?
Oh, yeah, and I mean, the one thing that I love about Camp Leapfrog personally is that everybody seems to have like a great time at Camp Leapfrog, and that really shines through the production, and in turn it just makes me want to see more of it, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. I can't wait. They have a show coming up in at the end of June, Killian Vision, which is going to be really fun. So make sure you catch that on IWTV. That will be a blast because that's like prime Camp Leapfrog. Like we have with this show, we have really leaned into the whole Camp Leapfrog trope. It's going to be incredible.
Oh, I love to hear it. But on the campgrounds, who are some of your favorite and least favorite campers?
Oh my God. Okay. My least favorite camper is actually Killian because he's always just making a headache for us at that campground. Like, I'm tired of him summoning, I'm tired of him like bullying people around the campground. And like, when they had to clean out that lagoons, like that was the best thing ever because they've had that coming for a while. I'm still mad about them being a Masas back in October. Oh my gosh. Do you know how hard it is to like send somebody back to hell? It's so hard. Yeah, he's a pain in my ass. But I love all of the divine feminine energy that is at Camp Leapfrog. To be in a place with people like Damaris, Bonesaw Jesse Brooks, Edith Surreal, Erica Lee, and Becca, and just these amazing female performers. Like, they're my favorite. The girls, I love the ladies at Camp Leapfrog. They're my friends. They're my buddies. They're my favorites.
And I mean, I gotta agree with you there with Killian. I mean, damn him for being such a headache, but my God, is he nice in the ring.
You didn't ask me how I felt about him in the ring. You asked me how I felt about him as a fellow camper.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Oh, but Kaia, as we sort of turn the corner on this interview, what's one thing that you always keep in your gear or your travel bag?
I actually have a triple moon pendant made out of horseshoe nails that's very special to me. The triple moon is a very, very important to witches. It is the embodiment of the maiden mother and crone, the goddess Hecate. And to have it made from horses that are metal is important to me because I am actually in the Chinese zodiac a metal horse. It was a gift to me from my aunt, who is kind of like the top witch, you know, the high priest of all of us in practice. So to get that gift from her as a protective piece has always been very special to me. And I put it in my gear bag because I want her with me protecting me when I wrestle. And I want her energy to draw upon me safe and to help me win.
Wow, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm blown away. That's got to be the most unique answer that we've gotten to this point. Like, that's
for a more conventional, I never go to wrestling shows without those Pedialyte packets. Especially now that we've been all wrestling outside and in the heat more often, it's just really important to stay hydrated, and it's a great way to just get your electrolytes back up and not feel like crap after you wrestle. So I always have those. Those are not as sentimental, but they are very important as a wrestler.
wow. Still, that's pretty awesome to hear. I mean, obviously keeping your physical wellness, but also keeping the spiritual wellness.
Yes, of course. You got to be in a good headspace to do anything successfully. You can have all the skills and talent in the world, but if your head's not in the game, it's all for nothing.
Now, as wrestling's good witch, what is your favorite spell?
My favorite spell?
Yes.
Honestly, like, I like protection spells because I like people to be protected. I like myself to be protected. There's a lot of really crappy, malicious energy out in the world coming from various sources, so we should all always try to protect ourselves against that. I'm all about that. I love like when it's moon. I love doing like full moon rituals. I think that's really great. I love like making moon water or taking like a moon bath. Just you put like essential oil on yourself and then you just go float in water underneath the moon outside, and it's just very much cleansing and restorative. It's an excellent practice, and it does kind of really help you get yourself into a good headspace and clean the slate for the next month to come.
Now, while you're out on the road, is there a spot that you always find yourself stopping at, be it food, be it recreation, a specific rest area? Is there anywhere you always find yourself on the road?
I'm trying to think. Okay, so it depends on where you're at. I don't really get junky fast food because then you just kind of feel like crappy. So I always try to like find like little places I can get decent food. And if you're ever going up north, there's like this one rest stop in Connecticut that's like the last beacon for anything that's a decent meal because they have a Chipotle in it. So you can get like, you know, meat and rice and carbs. It's very well rounded. It's not like a cheap, right? So I always stop there because I know if I pass that, I have Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's to pick from. Where else do I always like to stop when I'm on the road? If I'm in the South, I really like a Waffle House because I like Waffle House. It's easy, it's cheap, it's low key. You can like roll in there messy and dirty after a show and no one cares. When I'm in Iowa, there's a little restaurant out here in Davenport called Steel Plow, and they do burgers, but they also do like milkshakes with like giant pieces of cheesecake in them, or like a full ice cream cone in the milkshake, or like a cupcake, or just these crazy milkshake concoctions. So I always like to go to Steel Plow when I'm in Davenport for one of their crazy milkshakes. So they're like little there like that I like to hit too.
Wow, I'm sorry, I'm stuck on the cheesecake and a milkshake. That sounds
Yeah,
incredible.
if you're ever in Davenport, Iowa, to Steel Plow and get a piece of cheesecake in your milkshake, it's quite fantastic.
All right, that's on my bucket list for Iowa. But while you're out on the road, what do you tend to listen to?
Oh my God, I spend so much time in my car these days. It's crazy. So like when I first started driving places, I was just excited to do long drives. And I was like, I'm going to listen to like all the emo and punk rock music I listened to in high school and get really nostalgic. And then like you come to find that even though how much you love that stuff, you can only listen to it so much. So I listen to podcasts. I'll catch the news on NPR. There's a podcast I like called Weird Medicine with Dr. Steve. That's really kind of cool. It's like these two guys and people call in with like crazy off the wall medical questions, but they're like actual medical questions. It's not just like crazy off the wall sexual shit like Loveline or whatever. It's truly like medical. And it's really kind of fun because they give a lot of information, but they're like comedians. So it's not like heavy or like long or drawn out. So I love Dr. I love there's a podcast called No Dogs in Space on Spotify where they talk about like the history of punk rock bands. I love punk rock. I grew up a little punk rock kid. I had many jobs in skateboard shops and whatnot growing up. So it's a big nostalgia thing for me. They have one on the Stooges that is absolutely incredible that you should definitely check out if you are into Iggy Pop in any capacity.
Oh, I'm happy to hear from another punk rock loving NPR supporter like myself.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love this. They're my favorite of all time. I like collect Stooges vinyl. I have like Stooges t-shirts. Like to me, like when I listen to Stooges, it just reminds me of just driving through my hometown beach town in the summer and just hear like 1970 playing on the radio. So maybe it's just a nostalgia, but so I love stuff like that.
Now, if you could choose any superpower, what would you choose and why?
That's a really good question. I could choose any superpower. It's weird that I've never actually thought of it because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I want to fly, or oh, I want to be able to hear what people are thinking about me. And you know what's crazy is like I'm good not flying, and like I don't care what people think about me. But I think that it would be really nice to be able to have the superpower, just like transpose matter. Do you know the superhero Firestorm?
They sound familiar. Are they Marvel or DC?
He can like transfigure matter, so like he could touch a car and turn it into something completely different. And I feel like if you had that superpower, you would never be without anything, and you would never have to stress about working or having money or any of or bills or any of the other stuff that we all stress over humans, right? So I would want a superpower that would allow me to live a stress-free life.
I completely agree with you there. I mean, it's all about the little kind of quality of life thing with the superpowers.
Yeah. I mean, flying's pretty cool, but you know what else is really cool? Not having to worry about paying bills for as long as you live.
Oh, that's the dream right there. Now, Kaia, do you have any pets at home?
I do. I have a pug named Empress Jundi. She is 9 years old, and I have had her for a very, very long time. And she goes everywhere with me. She goes to wrestling shows. She goes to training. She is not in Iowa because pugs do not fly on planes very well. But generally, she's my buddy and goes everywhere. I love her. She's so great. She makes all kinds of great little pug noises. Got a lot of personality. She's my best friend.
Oh man, I always have the softest of soft spots for pugs personally. I look at them and they look so adorable, you know?
Oh my gosh, she's so stubborn though. Like, that is the one thing I will say about pugs is like they're very good dogs, but like I think they're very smart dogs. Like my mom has a lab and like he just listens and does stuff like, "Oh, I'm a good dog and I'm happy and But she's like very sassy and very spicy and like gives me a run for my money sometimes in a good way though. I like that she's got so much personality in such a tiny little pug body. But like training her was quite the feat. She did not train easily. Not because she didn't know what she had to do. She simply was stubborn and did not want to.
Oh man. You still gotta love them at the end of the day. They're adorable.
Absolutely. Like I said, I take her with me everywhere. I'll take her to wrestling training, and she just like sits on her little bed and watches everybody. Surveys her kingdom because she is the empress.
Now, to kind of bring up an old school debate that likes to rear its head, are you Team Brett or are you Team Sean?
I don't know. I really like Bret Hart. I do a bulldog in all my matches because I like Bret Hart so much. So, I mean, I don't know, but I really like Shawn Michaels too because like when I was growing up, everybody loved Shawn Michaels. He was the dude, you know. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to pick a side in that, right?
Honestly, they do a lot of things just as great, but there's also the little things that makes each stand out that make it just as hard to pick.
Oh, 100%. 100%. They're both excellent performers that were just like such innovators at their time too, you know, when it came to like doing stuff that was different and out of the box. Credit is due where credit is deserved in that circumstance for sure. But I do like Bret Hart. So I'm going to go with Bret.
Well, Kaia, thank you so much for coming by this afternoon for this interview. Please let the people know where we can find you, where we can support you. The floor's all yours.
All right. I do have Twitter and Instagram. My handle is at Kaia MCK. So it's KAIA MCK. I have an online merchandise store, KaiaMcKenna.bigcartel.com. And the link to that is in my social media profiles. As far as my upcoming schedule is, I will be at Next Level Wrestling in Nebraska. I will be at WWR Plus. I will be in the Super 8 and Camp Leapfrog. So you can catch me at any of those places or any of the replays from those places on IWTV.
Kaia, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you all for listening to another exclusive interview here on PWP. I'm James Lascuola, and I will see you all on the next